Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Shogun 2, Fall of the Samurai. It's been quite a while since I posted anything in this, and that's largely because I haven't played that much, and also I haven't really found anything interesting for quite a while to actually cover. There's been a lot of sieges and a lot of easy maneuvers in which I could conquer territory rather easily, so we haven't really met any great opposition. And what I'm planning to do is mostly leave out the sieges at this point, because it's mostly like a exercise in destruction, because you don't want to go, if you go in before you have destroyed the walls and such and destroy the opposition, like really pummeled it into the ground, you're gonna lose a lot of men, which is which you don't obviously want. So instead what you have is a prolonged session of artillery bombardment, which, I mean, it is rather nice to look at a fort that's completely set ablaze and everything's exploding and there's dead people all over the place. But seeing that over and over again, and given that it takes quite a while to actually come to that, I'm planning to do mostly just show you the bigger and the more important field battles, and then also show you the movements to sort of see, you know, keep you up to date on what's happening on the map. This one isn't that important. It's more just that at a certain point, you know, I advance so far and taken so much territory that I feel that I just need to get like a battle or something in there. So I don't. We suddenly go from where we were last time, and then suddenly I am at the gates of Tokyo or something like that. So this is, let's see, this is on my most furthest advance to the west of Japan. It's probably hard for you to kind of get an idea of where this was, but the faction that I was trying to ally with, because I wanted to minimize the factions I go to war with on my way to Kyoto and Tokyo, so I'm not bogged down by a lot of enemies. Anyways, they went ahead and declared war on me, and so they marched to attack this army, which is currently laying siege to another castle. And most likely I'll be able to crush the enemy. We'll see. It might change, but I think I have a pretty good chance of winning. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start the battle. The enemy is hiding along there in the forest. I'm gonna move up to more favorable ground, which looks to be right about here, where we actually get to look down upon an advancing enemy. Then I want the rifles to come over here, which is a better location as well. I've got the colonial line infantry, which is going to move up in the forest, set up along here, which they also will have good position, more looking down towards the enemy rather than standing in what otherwise would be these holes, which would cover the firing angle, which quite often happens. The Highlanders cannot advance too far, because right here we've got a hole, so if I place them here, their firing range would be reduced, and I don't want them to advance further than that area, because then they're going to be too far away from the rest of the army, and I don't want that. And you know what? Now we're just more or less going to wait for the enemy to move up. Hopefully they'll run into a massive amount of fire as they try to go through here. We actually got quite a few guys here that don't have a super great view. These guys have a pretty good view of the terrain in front of them. Same with these guys. And the guys in the forest have good view. We've got an enemy cavalry unit moving up possibly want to put these guys in square on top of that little ridge. And it looks like the only cavalry unit is that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the cavalry around to deal with them. And let's see, we kind of got a spot here where the general can hide and he can support his troops. And let's spray them with a bit of shrapnel. Get these guys in square as the Yariki is now coming to attack them on the flank. They're charging, or at least he gave the order for the charge. However, the British infantry is in square. However, they were only able to shoot down 10 of these cavalrymen on the oncoming charge. However, once more, being in square, I do believe they get defensive bonus against cavalry, and so the enemy is forced to pull off. But I cannot stay there any longer as the main attack is coming in. Firing fire arrows towards this unit. Everyone's pouring down ammo or shots on the enemy. This unit is not firing, which might be because half the unit is on the wrong side of the hill. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell everyone to fire suppressive fire. The enemy is again a bit too close for my liking. We've got the enemy general about to strike through here. Well, that'll probably cost him because my general is just behind here, ready to not only inspire the unit that the general rides into, but he will be able to shoot at the general as he gets in there. And we've got no Dachi samurai charging in. And yeah, against those big swords, the bayonet does not do that well, except in this case, because that guy just got stabbed. Let's see. Going across the line, it seems to be going fine for our line. However, the general was actually able to smash that unit and smash through it. However, he lost most of his bodyguard due to that, so very heavy loss for him. And very heavy loss for us on this side. Oh, the unit actually stands! 24 men, but we're gonna have to pull them back, and I'm actually gonna have to pull these guys back as well, given the ferocity of the enemy attack. The Scotsmen were able to hold off the few men the enemy sent towards them, but we're gonna have to retreat the line infantry on this side. And what we're gonna do is, let's see, the square is holding, the cavalry was not really utilized in this battle. I'm gonna pull back, keep pulling back the line infantry. 24 men and they still stand. Very brave men there. As we can see now, there's only one enemy unit actually standing. Can we get everyone just to focus in then on this unit? They're not gonna stand for long, and a few well-placed artillery shot shatter them as they realize they were the last unit standing on the field. And there we go. We have victory. And so we sent them off. Looking at here, we can see that there were quite a few casualties on the line infantry. They took quite heavy casualties. But with recent advances and stuff, not only on the general's personal abilities, but the country's ability as a whole, I should be able to get these back in order pretty soon, or at least once I've taken the town they're sieging. So let's go to the campaign map and take a look at what's going on there. And here we can see the actual casualty rates of the battle. The enemy lost about a little more than half the men. So almost 3,000 men out of 4,000 men deployed. We lost about a third. But the it was all down to the British line infantry that lost men. So the cannons didn't lose anything, which would be good, because then we can continue the siege, which they're currently laying, well, the area where they're laying siege to. As you can see, the rifle brigade, there's a reason why it's capped at, I think, 2 or 4 units, given the amount of kills they were able to achieve in this battle. They didn't lose a single man, and they almost killed 500 men, 449 soldiers. Anyways, as we can see here, it's actually during the enemy's turn, so what I'll do is I'll just end it here, and we'll jump back once it's actually my turn to conduct my armies. And here we are on the campaign map. So this is the siege I was talking about, and the army that we just saw fighting on the field. And this is the army they defeated. So once they were defeated, they actually didn't pull back. Wait, no. Did they split in two? No, this is the army that we defeated. This is another army I defeated earlier, I imagine. It went to burn down this Buddhist temple. Very nice of them. And anyways, this is the area where I believe... No, this is... Oh, I mistakenly thought this was the area where the Americans... started. Which would have been cool, because I could have redone the Americans. But the Americans are over here. So I could restart their nation. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and conduct this siege off camera. What we're hoping for, though, is to get our armies situated for an attack continuing through here. And what it looks like is that I'm gonna have to abandon my plan of the dual naval attacks, which I had planned to have naval strikes going in and then leaving troops attacking Kyoto. I think originally my plan was to go through here, but it would be quicker, of course, to go through here. But given the fact that I'm now at war with this faction, you can see on the map right here, so they cover all the land up until the ones that control Kyoto, so that's mighty bit of land, and we're gonna have to be at war with them then, so it might as well crush them that way and use the railroad to resupply us. So this will be done by land, and then the attack on Edo or Tokyo will be done by sea, because there's no way we're gonna be able to there's going to be so many episodes of this campaign if I try to go the land route all the way over there. So we won't do that. We're going to move some armies. This was the necessity army, the ones I recruited to deal with the treachery of the clan that was over here. So this wasn't really a planned out army, and because I cannot recruit any of my own guns any longer, or I've tapped out of the since they're capped, the cannons are capped to a certain range, and I haven't re-unlocked the Armstrong guns yet. What they do have is a cannon, a Ford cannon, that we captured from the enemy. And I think this is just as well, because it's got 5 guns. And I'm pretty sure it will actually destroy walls. So that's still pretty good, even though they only have 1 battery. Then we have one army that's moved up here. That's George, Hook George, with his army ready to attack over here, which will be second battle of this video. And then we've got, who's this? This is Helton and his army. Coming down this way as well, so that'll be nice. And then we've got a new addition. Alcock Charles has turned up with his almost all Scottish army. So we've got lots of Scottish Highland infantry, we've got Scots Guards. Unfortunately, I don't have Scottish cavalry as of yet, so they'll have to do with British Hussars and British Dragoons. And we also have some Royal Engineers. So he's on his way through here, but since we already have 3 armies there, it might be better to send him actually up through here. And just as we now speak, the faction leader, Mr. Alcock himself, Alcock John, just lands with his army, which he has the newly recruited British Guards and the King's Own. And he's just waiting for some extra troops and cavalry to be recruited. And then off he will go as well. And we'll probably send him up through the northern route as well. And yes, that's about it in terms of what's going on the strategic map. Our allies on the island of... I can't remember what this one's called. Shiku... Well, it's the Shosukabe Island anyways. They've been beaten back to their home region by their... I think these guys, they were allies with these guys before, but they have been beaten back by them, and I've actually started trade with these guys, so it doesn't really matter who holds the island. I'm friends with both of them. So as long as they don't declare war on me, we'll be fine. And then we can see the bigger blocks of enemies. Now we're at war with quite a few. Well, these are 2 smaller factions, but we've got like the Corfu prefect. We're at war with them. That's a pretty big one. Matsuna not so much. This one is the biggest one, and as you can see, it's got 20 provinces. Now I have 42, but 20 is one of the largest we've fought as of yet, and that we actually are in contact with. Tokugawa has 22, so you kind of get an idea of how big and how many troops and fleets they've got. But yeah, then now you have an idea what's going on. We're gonna take this army, we're gonna move it out, and we're gonna prepare to attack that army out there. And yes, these guys are holding, which is nice. And let's see about attacking this one. And he's actually gonna stand and fight us. Similar troops as the last army. Lots of traditional troops. Oh, blunderbuss units. Those actually... I don't think we have taken a closer look at those units yet. We have... I know they've been in battles against us, but they actually push troops around a bit, or they throw people around when they fire those. Kind of an interesting weapon. Yes, without further ado, let's go ahead and attack. And what about doing it a night battle? That'll be interesting. Not that we had any reinforcements coming in anyways. But let's attack the enemy by the cover of night. So not only are we attacking the enemy during a night time, we're also attacking them during fog, or there's foggy conditions. So it's going to be extra hard to see enemies, and that's going to make it even harder for us to control the units during night. One thing, however, and that plays in my favor, is that the battleground seems to be exceptionally flat. So I was worried that maybe I would miss our units moving into crevices and stuff and not being able to give the enemy enough fire and being that way ambushed and destroyed by melee units, but it seems that that's not going to be the case. I'm going to send the rifles up first, and we're going to go and do these guys in formation, and we can do similar over here, and similar with the Highlanders. So we're advancing our troops forward, meeting the enemy somewhere on the middle of the field. Why I want to advance is just to give these guys a very nice and clear arc above our troops, so we don't have to worry about possibly shooting our own men. You know, the rifles do have a quick light infantry behavior. I thought it was we're not going to use light infantry behavior. What we're going to do though is toggle skirmish mode and toggle guard mode for most units. Looking at where the enemy is, I'm going to call a general halt to the line. And right now it seems very fine distance. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send out the cavalry to the flanks at this point to be able to cover our men. And now we're going to see as the green jackets, which at this point blend in very well with the dark. But we gotta be ready here to pull these guys back as the enemy approaches. The center formations of enemy units have certainly been crushed. I'm gonna pull back at this point. And we're gonna try to avoid getting shot by the line infantry. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna order them to kneel fire. Oh, there we actually hit our own men with a bit of cannon fire. The rifles come through, and as soon as they've passed, the line infantry opens fire and absolutely massacres the samurai that come through. And seemingly we've got a similar situation going throughout here. These guys will be held in reserve. We're going to toggle that off, and we're going to toggle fired will off, and we're going to keep them in reserve in case one of these units is broken down. Looks like the enemy is not charging that much forward as in previous battles. They seem to be just forming line and trying to shoot at us. However, of course, they seem to forgot that they actually have to point the musket in our direction and actually discharge the weapons, which I can't really see. I can see, you can see the flames, the muzzle flames going out from our men, but you can't really see it from the enemy. So I'm not entirely sure if they're just confused by the night or what's going on here. So what I thought could be a possible upset for our side has turned in for quite a major upset for the enemy side. What I'm going to do is, this is one Highlander unit. The one Highlander unit that for some reason, even though I told them to hold for guard mode, actually charged down the unit that charged them, and now they find themselves without support of the other part of the unit, the other Highland units. Gonna move them forwards, and then I'm gonna move up the general towards the center and see if we can aid the units by inspire them to increase the fire rate of the troops.
Victory is assured, sir!
I wouldn't expect something else at this point, given the fact that the enemy seemingly have forgot they actually need to shoot us to win the battle. And the major part of the enemy force is now fleeing completely head over heel away from the battle. This unit bravely charged out, but bravery is not what's going to win the day to this or during this battle, it's going to be discipline that wins the day. And so we can see they have lost half their unit due to this disobeying of orders and charging out of line. But there we go. Victory was achieved, and we massacred a whole lot of enemies during this night battle. And there we have the statistics of the battle. We can see that, yes, we did suffer quite a lot, or a lot fewer casualties in this battle. Around 300 compared to, I think, almost 700 in the daytime battles. I'm not entirely sure why the enemy didn't really fire back at us throughout this, but yeah, victory nonetheless. We'll continue pursuing them and see if we can destroy them in a hole, sending out the cavalry and cutting them to bits. Very nicely done. At this point, what we're going to do is, I think we're actually going to end the episode right here. So hopefully by next time we'll advance all our armies up to a point where we could strike at our enemies. Most likely we're going to see a fight against maybe this army, or at least up here. The enemy seem to concentrate most of their, or at least the Sasayamas seems to be focusing their spearhead attack over here, which is understandable given that I only have one army standing in their way, compared with here that they probably have already noticed that I've got 3, and the fact that these guys can take quite a while to march all the way up. What I could do is, we've got a port over there, so I could pick the army up and then quickly move it to attack maybe somewhere far further within their lands to upset the sort of the structure of the enemy. Anyways, this has been episode I don't know what, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!